by saying this. I'll end by saying this. When they expelled us, they had no idea that this was going to happen. They just thought that they would go about as they do and as they always do, that they would abuse their power and there would be no resistance, that they would do something unconstitutional and we would just have to wait to seek accountability. When we say to that there comes a time where time itself is ready for a change, and that time has come to Nashville. That time has come to Tennessee. Speaker Cameron Sexton, you can either move on over or we'll move on over you, because we're moving on. And so, friends, Nashville and Tennessee, we hope you join us in the People's House, because no matter what happens here today, we have a speaker who may not respect the results. So we need people to show up in the chamber and let him know that we will not allow him to stand in the doorways of the legislature like governors of the past and politicians of the past still sit in the doorways of schools, challenging desegregation. We won't let him stand in the doorways of democracy anymore. And that he tried to crucify democracy, but hey, happy Easter Monday, because we are resurrecting a movement across this state. Forward together and not one step back. Forward together. Whose house? Whose house? Whose house?
The Republican-led supermajority of the Tennessee General Assembly sought to have a political lynching of 3 of its members because we spoke out of turn against the status quo of the government after the tragic deaths of 6 people in the shooting at the Covenant School in Nashville. Evelyn Dickhouse, William Kinney, and Haley Scruggs were 9 years old. Cynthia Peake, Mike Hill, and Catherine Kuntz worked at the school. The shooter, Audrey Hale, was gunned down by police that day as well. Because we walked to the well of the House out of turn, resolutions were unjustly and undemocratically filed against us on these trumped-up charges. Because we spoke out against the empire, against those in positions of power without God power or people power, because we spoke out against the empire of the NRA and the gun lobbyists because we demanded an end to gun violence and an end to the proliferation of weapons on our streets and an end to the funerals we attend day after day and week after week and month after month and year after year. Because we did that, the Republican-led General Assembly, with the support of folks even in this district like Mark White from our own community, thought it better to get rid of our Democratic representation in District 86 than to actually solve the problem. This has been a holy week. This has been a sacred week. The lesson from it is that resurrection is a promised prophecy to a persecuted people. 55 years ago this week, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by gun violence. And I tell you what, his words from what he spoke just days before he was assassinated are still true. The movement lives or dies in Memphis. 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 The movement for justice lives or dies in Memphis. The movement for democracy lives or dies in Memphis. The movement to end gun violence lives or dies in Memphis. We've seen those who want to kill the movement in the Republican-led supermajority. We've witnessed one of the most historic, unprecedented, unjustifiable abuses of power by a state government against black folks and a woman. Just because we decided to own our birthright to speak up against injustice, to speak up and fight for people, including people who are no longer here. People like my own classmate, Larry Thorne, killed by gun violence. earlier this year. Those people who can speak no more, because we decided to elevate the voices and the hearts and the spirits of those folk. The supermajority Republican legislature decided that it was time for us to go, because it was, in our opinion, time to listen. Time to listen to the demands of thousands of children and youth and teenagers asking for leaders in positions of power to do something. To pass laws that actually prevent gun violence. To pass laws that actually support communities. To pass laws that actually support youth. Ensuring to make our community safer everywhere.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. It's Monday night. Well, Monday evening, social justice over here. How y'all doing? Josh was in the building. He was first. So Beefcake was right behind him. He say first. Kizzy, how you doing? Welcome in, everybody. Thank y'all for joining. Coming over here listening to our social justice news. Hey, Smitty Smittiful, how you doing? Smitty been around a long time. Boss Man is in the building. What's going on? Boss Man? Okay. Here's M. How you doing? 2017. Hello. Thank you for joining me. Look, picture this. You ever been into, some classrooms, like some schools, some colleges, where there's so many students that it's hard to, it's hard to learn because there's just so many students. The teacher can't get to everyone. Picture this as a small classroom where I can give each of you my undivided attention and you can learn so much. Okay. Look at it like that. Don't worry about the numbers, honey. If you build it, as they say, it'll come. Ain't that what somebody said the other day? Hello, Queen Black. How you doing? Oh my goodness. I built it before, so I ain't new to it. I'm true to it. Okay. I'm going to quit rambling and I'm going to get on into this. SB is in the building. Hey, SB, thank you for stopping by. And guys, pay close attention because you never know when I'm going to give away this big bottle sponsored by Kizzy of this Peach Rocktown. This was sponsored by your girl PP. Never know what. So I'm not going to tell you what to listen for. Just listen. Listen to the news. Listen to the news, honey. Okay, listen to the news. Okay, the first thing we're going to listen to, and again, let me say this, YouTube. This is all falling under Section 107 copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances, guys, have been made for fair use, such purposes such as what? Criticism, commentary, news reporting, teachings, scholarship, and research. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. This is falling under that. We're going to learn some things. Okay, we're going to start out with Jonathan Capehart. He interviewed Justin Jones. Let's see what Justin had to say.
Tennessee State Representatives Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson have become a national inspiration. Their protest in the State House gallery to demand stricter gun safety measures following a mass shooting at a school in Nashville resulted in the expulsion of Jones and Pearson. Briefly, they were reinstated days later by the governing bodies of their...
And to give you a background, in case you don't know, because we are learning and teaching, the two African-American lawmakers there in Tennessee were expelled, but the Caucasian lawmaker was not. They're all Democrats, okay? But we all know they've been reinstated and all that good stuff. But what the Republicans didn't intend on, what they didn't take into account, they put them on a national level. I'm right up here. Look, I wouldn't have known about them. A lot of y'all, we didn't know about. They were just local lawmakers. They weren't in Washington. But sometimes your schemes will backfire. And this is what has happened. It backfired.
Effective local jurisdictions. Now, the Tennessee Three, as they're known, are taking their message for change beyond the volunteer state. Earlier this week, they were at the White House at the invitation of President Biden, who thanked them for having the courage to speak out against gun violence. And joining me now is Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones. Representative Jones, welcome back to the Sunday show, and thank you for coming in live in studio.
Hey,
Thank you so much. Good to be here, Jonathan.
So you came to town for last night's White House Correspondents' Dinner. How were you received?
Yeah, people were very supportive. We know that it was an event celebrating the First Amendment, and so we've been fighting for the First Amendment and fighting for democracy, which we know you as journalists are key and vital in. And so I was grateful to be there and see a lot of familiar faces.
So in the intro, I talked about the fact that you were expelled for speaking out about gun violence, and you were expelled from the body. We look at you as, you're fighting for gun safety, but I noticed you put an emphasis on First Amendment and what that dinner was about last night. Talk about why it was so important for the three of you to speak out on a message.
And let me tell you something. I could listen to Justin Jones and Justin Pearson speak just an unlimited amount of time, because they're very it's not that just that they're very well spoken. It's the things that they say and how they say it. Okay, just listen to them. Just listen to them, guys. Pay close attention. Thank you.
That went beyond the specific thing you were protesting, which was gun violence.
Definitely. I mean, our expulsion really was this collision of these three issues of fighting for an end to mass shootings and proliferation of guns in our communities. Also fighting to defend democracy and voices of dissent, challenging authoritarian forces within our nation right now. And then third was the issue of systemic racism. You saw that Pierce and I are the youngest Black representatives, and we were expelled. And so we saw this collision of those three issues, and it really does transcend just one issue. And our movement transcends one issue because we live multi-issue lives. And so fighting for democracy, seeing a lot of emphasis last night at the Correspondents' Dinner on protecting journalists, particularly those who are jailed right now across the globe for doing their job. And so we know that the First Amendment, we know that fighting for democracy, we know that a free press to hold power accountable is vital if we're going to continue to move forward and represent the future that I hope my generation wants to bring forth in this world.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you about something that goes beyond Tennessee, and I'm thinking of Montana. And what do you think of efforts there to silence the opposition? And I'm thinking about Montana State Representative Zoe Zephyr, who was expelled from the state house floor. She can't even go on the House floor. Her fit into what happened to you.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Representative Zephyr a couple of times since she's been expelled, including the night she was expelled. We were on an interview together. And as I said that evening, if you come for one of us, you come for all of us. This is an issue about challenging a system that seeks to suppress the voice of those directly impacted by these issues. And so Representative Zephyr was challenging anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans legislation in her state. Was the only as the only trans member of that body, and was silenced, was ousted from the floor as a duly elected lawmaker. That is not democracy. That is not what our system should be, about challenging those who represent the very issues that we're discussing, deliberating. I mean, it is very scary. And as we said in Tennessee, if Tennessee went forward with our expulsion, it would set a very dangerous precedent. Right. And we saw this in Montana. We're seeing the same discussion in Nebraska right now. I mean, and if it was really about decorum, Jonathan, we wouldn't be having folks like Marjorie Greene Taylor in our Congress right now who continue to break decorum.
So what he's pretty much saying is they were just trying to voice their opinions on the floor there. And I think, where are they, in Nashville? It's where the main, where the capital is, I believe. And they were, pretty much reprimanded and ousted and this, that, and the other. But it did backfire. He says they're fighting for rights. They're trying to take rights away there. And not just in Tennessee, honey. It's happening some of these southern states. It is a concerted effort to just take away rights from people. You got to be very awoke. You have to be awoke and listening.
And are not held accountable. We would have accountability for January 6th. So it's not about decorum. It's about silencing dissent. That's what their mission is.
Mm-hmm. You were an intern here.
Silencing. He says silencing dissent. Sometimes people want to silence people who stand up and speak for themselves or speak against what's being, pushed if they disagree with it. And people will try to silence them. And that's what was happening to them. They were being silenced and they decided to fight. Make sure you hit the like button. Thank you.
In Washington with Congresswoman Barbara Lee. And anyone who watches this show saw the two of you on camera. So you know how this town works. Now that you're a legislator yourself, why do you think nothing substantive gets done on gun safety? You know, there's a new Fox News poll out that shows not just overwhelming support, supermajority support for just about every piece of common sense gun safety legislation. Why can't anything get done if, as you see there on the screen, more than 80%, almost 87% support background checks for guns? Yeah. Why can't it get done at a national level?
It's an issue of political courage. I mean,
put a 1 in the chat if you support background checks for people that want to own a gun. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't think there needs to be a background check. Put a 1 in the chat, please, if you support a law being passed nationally, federal law, stating that anyone that wants to own a gun should pass a simple background check. And put a 2 in the chat if you disagree and you think people can just outright buy guns and nothing be said about it. You do have a right to your opinion. Thank you.
The majority of Americans, as you just shown, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, including in my state, Tennessee, support these common sense gun laws. But it's about political courage, about standing up to these special interests like the NRA and putting the lives of our children over the profits of firearms manufacturers. So that's why our generation, we're bringing this urgency. We're bringing this sense of moral clarity that transcends partisan politics, say that this is bigger than left or right. It is a moral issue of right or wrong. And that's what I told the president on Monday, that this is a moral issue. And I'm not coming to the White House as a political leader. I'm coming to lift up this moral voice of our generation and say that we have to treat this like an emergency, because we had another shooting yesterday.
Right.
5 lost their lives.
Right.
I mean, this keeps happening, and we must break the cycle. I don't want to live in a generation that this defines our generation. From Sandy Hook to the Pulse nightclub massacre to Covenant Elementary to Kentucky. I mean, this keeps happening, and we don't have to live this way. And I think that's what Americans are asking for us to act. In a state like my state, we have a NRA-endorsed governor, Republican governor, who's supposedly going to be calling a special session on guns. That shows that the conversation is moving forward. And if we can transform a state like Tennessee, I think we can transform this nation and pass common sense gun laws at the nationwide level.
We showed video of your meeting in the Oval Office with the president, the three of you see there. There's one other person in that picture, and that's the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. What did she say to you?
VP Harris immediately came to Nashville after we were expelled, as you know. It took an emergency trip, and that day she reiterated something that she reiterated the day after we were expelled. That is, sometimes people have to rise to an occasion, and so she lifted up us rising in this moment, in this Kairos moment as a generation. She gave one of the most powerful speeches I heard her give at Fisk University. That really was a revival for this movement. That really was a resurgence of the energy that says there's urgency about fighting for democracy, that we have a moral obligation, that, you know, in Tennessee, we have a history of young people leading movements like John Lewis.
There is an urgency and there is a moral obligation to keep these guns off the streets and keep the guns from getting into the hands of people who just literally want to harm people, who want to go into schools and shoot up schools and go into former workplaces and things of that nature, movie theaters, and it happens. I mean, it happens. Oh, going to the local Walmart, it happens over and over again. I don't understand why they can't pass a law that just says, because most Republicans and Democrats support people passing a background check. But you know what's stopping it? It's the lobbyists, the people who have that money that pay these people in Washington for their own agenda. Some people want to push their own agenda. Okay, it is what it is. It happens. If you know about politics, I'm telling you.
And Diane Nash. And so to have the vice president and just that prophetic voice for action really was moving. And to see her there, as you saw, we were sitting by each other. She just really is somebody who I know stands with us and is very authentic and is very powerful in this movement right now.
I'm trying to hold it together. I don't know. Every time I'm on camera with you, I'm always about to cry, because to see you, someone so young, speak so passionately and eloquently about our nation and who we can and should be is what gives me so much hope about the future. Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday Show.
Thank you so much.
And that was one of the Justins out of Tennessee. You heard what he said. He said every time he hears him speak, he's about to cry. I mean, they're no MLKs, but I'm telling you, and that other Justin, he's the son of a preacher, and he's a preacher. He really, you can really hear it in his voice. And we'll listen to something else from him before we get through tonight. All right, let's move on. We're gonna listen to a little bit more of the press conference that Ben Crump held for Tyree Nichols. We started it, but we didn't finish it. And we won't finish it all tonight, but we're going to listen to some more of it, okay?
When they initially made the traffic stop. And that's because we know these officers, at least some of them, were from the organized crime unit. They were in unmarked cars. Why are they conducting traffic stops? You get it. You get it. This is pretextual.
That's right, Queen.
This is a pretextual traffic stop, which let's call it what it is. It's a racist traffic stop is what it is.
It was a racist traffic stop, and Queen Gertrude's right. It's going to take the young people, because young folks, they just don't know the power they have. And a lot of it kills me when people just say, "Oh, I'm not going to vote. It really don't matter. Ain't gonna, my vote not gonna count." Sometimes these races are so tight, it comes down to literally one vote. It happened in Virginia, a local race. It came down to one freaking vote. Just imagine how many people said, "I'm not gonna go vote." Get off your butts and vote. Okay, I'm very passionate about voting. Okay, voting rights. Because for the longest, women, we didn't even have the right to vote. So I know all women need to be voting. It was just the men could vote, child. They really thought this is a woman's world. All right, let's get back to it.
The proportionality was gone. These police officers felt in their mind, they knew they could get away with this sort of violence. Why? Because there's a sense of impunity. There's a sense of culture within the police department, not only here, but across the country, that they will hide for themselves. They will cover up for themselves.
Alice.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry I did this. I covered up my paper on the Holy Bible, but we are here today to say to you, so help me God, when is this going to stop? We must stop this, and we must stop it through the actions of Ben. We must stop it through the courage of the parents. We must stop it through the courage that we take to the courts. There are many, many ways to do this. We must stop this. I'm going to repeat it because it was so important. We had a meeting today with the district attorney and the federal government. And we left that meeting, I think, very confidently saying that we're encouraged that they are going to do the right thing. And we trust that. And let's trust that. So let's please exercise patience until that video comes out. And then you may be able to look and you can be your own judge of what we are saying today, whether it bears any truth. And there is no doubt that your voices should be heard. You should be heard. It would be shameful if you're not heard. Because, oh my gosh, that's part of the Constitution, right? First Amendment right, Fourth Amendment rights. We are to be free from unlawful use of force. We are to be free from excessive use of force. Where was this young man's constitutional right that day? Well, we're not going to stop our rights from being heard about what happened to Tyree. So I'd like to close. I know okay, well, I could talk a lot more about what we're going to do, but we are conducting our own civil investigation. We are going to move forward very soon as we can, with litigation. This is a Section 1983 case, and we are going to do whatever we can to ensure that this doesn't happen again. What happened to Tyree should be the end. Not only are we looking for justice, but we're looking for changes. We have to demand policy changes. Must. So I thank you, Ben, family. Thank you for putting the trust in us. We will serve you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, and we're gonna finish this one as well, but you know, I try to do this within an hour. So I am going to go to the other one where he has filed the lawsuit for the family. Okay. And we started that one as well, but we didn't finish it. Here it is right here. This is the one, I believe. Hold on. He has so many press conferences, y'all. It's hard to keep up with Ben. So just be patient with me. Here it is. This is the one I was really looking for. Okay, let's continue.
Turn tables of history together to make a better world for all our children. And that is attorney Antonio Romanucci from Chicago, Illinois.
Thank you very much, Ben. And of course, thank you, Rovan and Rodney, for this honor.
Now, this is the one where they announced that huge lawsuit against the city of Memphis, and we didn't get to finish it, okay? We're going to finish it tonight.
Of representing your son, Tyree Nichols, in this horrible tragedy. I do want to give special thanks to the remainder of the legal team. Bhavani, Bryce, Sarah, Dave, Brooke, thank you so much for all that you've done. So I'm here to talk a little bit more about the lawsuit and why it's landmark. Because today, for those of you who are here, you are at the beginning of the witness of history. This lawsuit is landmark not only for the monetary compensation that will be awarded in this case, but it's because of the depth and the breadth of the indifference that we saw on January 7th. But you have to understand one thing. Tyree died much longer than before he sustained that savage beating on January 7th. The decision-making process that went into what the Scorpion unit did on January 7th happened months and years earlier than that because of the deliberate indifference.
You remember that Scorpion unit was a unit that they have there in Memphis, where I think it's been dismantled, but it was the unit that attacked those guys. Those police officers were a part of their unit, and they pretty much pulled him over for no reason and beat him to his demise. Okay.
Of the chief of police of this city, Sarah Lynn Davis. She put that Scorpion unit in place because she thought that because you put the word peace, you embed peace within Scorpion, that you were going to get peace. But instead, that Scorpion unit was a stinger, and they only had one mission. And we know what that mission was, and we're going to call it out right now. Stop young black men in cars and get whatever evidence you can from those vehicles and suppress it. That's what Scorpion was all about. The same thing that Red Dog was all about in Atlanta, Georgia, when they tried to run every drug dealer out of Georgia with Red Dog. Sarah Lynn Davis brought the concept here, put it on a different name. So what did we witness instead? The three-headed monster. The three-headed monster of the city of...
Pretty much he's saying just because something has peace on it, attached to it, doesn't necessarily mean that law there was a peaceful law, or not law, that program that they were using. Just because that police chief put peace on it. No, 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 no. We see how it was used. It was used to take a young man's life for no apparent reason. There were things mentioned. I don't know if it was true, allegedly, about a girlfriend, this, that, and the other. They were liking the same woman. I mean, I don't know, but I do know that they took his life for no reason.
Memphis, the individual
That's
officers
facts.
and the paramedics, all in some sort of explicit or implicit conspiracy to let this young man die. They killed him and they let him die.
Yes, they did.
Nobody cared about him. Each one of those three-headed monsters was indifferent and is indifferent to this day because, as we know of, nothing's changed except Scorpion.
A three-headed monster. I like the way he is describing those corrupt, very corrupt police officers who ganged up. A gang of corrupt police officers. It's a gang of them. They're a corrupt gang of police officers that attacked that young man. And he called them three-headed monsters. And I don't think nobody's going to check him about it either. Okay. That's Attorney Romanucci.
Unit is disbanded. What other policies have changed since then to cure the indifference that we have? And I know of none. So this lawsuit is landmark because of those reasons. We are going to peel back every single onion layer that we can to expose the indifference that's been existing in the Memphis Police Department, not for days, not for weeks, but for months. And when this community told Memphis police in December 6th of 2022, that Scorpion Unit was acting unconstitutionally, Tyree had a chance to be saved.
That's right.
But instead, those pleas by you all were ignored.
That's right.
And instead, what happened? There's a sign up above me. I am a man with dignity.
Yeah.
Tyree had dignity all the way to the very end. And we can't say that about anybody from the city of Memphis, its police officers, its chief, or even its paramedics. The unfathomable task of saving a life, and they ignored this young man's pleas when he cried out for mom. It's just unimaginable, incomprehensible. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, this is landmark. There are many prongs to this lawsuit, and we will show you why it is landmark because of the depth and breadth of this indifference. They beat him, they ignored him, they mocked him, they took pictures of him. And lest we not forget, they lied. They lied. Who did they lie to? Mom.
Yep.
They lied to mom. And you will see that in the lawsuit, there's a count or counts for intentional infliction of emotional distress.
And thank you, Kizzy, for sending that. If you guys will look, that is what the Scorpion Unit was supposedly for in Memphis. Okay. The unit was announced in November of 2021. Memphis said the Scorpion team would be tackling violent crime in the city. Scorpion was an acronym for Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. Just because you add peace to something doesn't necessarily mean it was peace, because as you can see, this gang of police monsters were taking lives and beating people for no reason, no apparent reason.
Because Lieutenant Smith went to go see Rovan and Rodney. Didn't lie once, didn't lie twice. I wish I could say 3 times. But the entire conversation was a lie of deceit. When her son was yards away trying to call for mom, being denied, this family, these parents being denied the opportunity to see him because they were told lies about him.
Yes, they were.
That's why this is a landmark case. That's why we will make history. That's why our goal, Ben, team, our goal is to make systemic, institutional, widespread change, Memphis and in the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Attorney Ramanucci. And now we will hear from a pillar in the legal community here in Memphis, Tennessee, a mentor of mine, and I'm so proud that we get to work on this historic case together. Retired Judge Ernestine Doyce will now address you. A great, great woman, and lawyer, and everything in between.
And I am a person of brevity, and I just want to make it known and place you on notice that we're not here, Mrs. Wells is not here, for vengeance. We're here for accountability.
Amen.
Accountability. And so when Tyree asked, what did I do wrong? Or what did I do? You now notice on, there should be an answer to the question of, what will you do?
Amen.
What will the country do? What will we do so that those questions won't have to be asked under the same circumstances, and that everybody should be on notice that there's always a payday. And I am not talking about a vengeance, not necessarily the 500,000, the 500 million, but we still have to pay for what it is that we do on this earth. So it's not a vengeance thing, it's an accountability thing. And so step up to the plate and answer the question. You'll notice, what will we do? Or what will you do?
Amen. Thank you, Judge. And the final two people you will hear from are the people who knew Tyree best. They've been so dignified and graceful in their grieving, and they're here again to continue to talk about the assignment. And then we will try to take some of your questions. We give you Rodney Wells, Tyree's father, and Tyree's mother, Rovine Wells, who...
Okay, and we did hear that part. So I just wanted to hear a little bit of it again. We did hear them, and we will finish that other one, but it's over an hour long. So we're going to move on to the next thing that I want to talk about, which comes from Instagram. Thank you, Kizzy, for sending me this. This is from, let's see here, the Neighborhood Talk, and I follow them, but I don't get all of their updates. So this says 4 dead, 11 hospitalized following a pastor's order for people to fast until they meet Jesus. What is wrong with these cult pastors? Now that's a cult pastor for you, like a Jim Jones type, telling these people to fast until they meet Jesus. All right, it says the authorities received a tip of the day before by a worried local about a dozen people starving to death. The tip-off was about ignorant citizens starving to death under the pretext of meeting Jesus after being brainwashed by a suspect. Mackenzie, whoever that is, a pastor of Good News International Church. Good News, a police report said. The authorities found 15 members unable to talk or walk at the Ninthorance, however you pronounce that, property. Only 11 of the fasting followers, 7 men and 4 women ages between 17 and 49, made it to the hospital alive. The 4 who died, 3 were men and 1 was a woman. The pastor, Paul, surrendered. I bet he was eating like a fat rat. Surrendered to the police this in Malindi and is facing several charges. Somebody say, shaking my head. Meanwhile, you can't tell he ain't missing no meals. Thank you. He's big, fat, but been eating. They say, bet he was eating. That's the first thing I said. I promise you, this is a misrepresentation of God and Christianity. Jesus is real. He loves you, and he won't lead you astray. It's not trying to be funny, but the instruction he gave in the outcome was accurate. The issue is the ignorance of the people. This is why it's important for you to form your own intimate relationship with God. The pastor is there to oversee and to help you comprehend the word and help you get closer to God. He's not supposed to be your God. I love my bishop to life, but you best believe, even when I get direction from him, I go to my source, my God, for confirmation. Okay. This person said, I promise y'all, Christianity is not like this. Don't let social media ruin your experience. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All right, let me get on over to being Crumps. I tell you, this is, oh my goodness, something else. Let's see what good stuff being Crump has over here. You know, his Instagram is full of good information. All right, that pastor was eating real good. A statue honoring Mamie Till Mobley was unveiled in Illinois. Okay, and that's a nice statue. Looks, wow, that is really nice, isn't it, y'all? It says, Ben Crump says, a bronze statue. Hold on here. A bronze statue of Mamie Till Mobley was unveiled outside of Argo Community High School in Chicago, Illinois, where she attended as a teenager. This mother, without warning nor preparation, dedicated her life to advocating for civil rights after the demise of her son, Emmett. Remember, we just did a story because the woman that said he whistled at her and, you know, whatever, grabbed her by her wrist and her waist and said, what's the matter? You can't handle it, baby. She just recently passed at the age of 88. But then we also found out that some of the local field hands was playing cards or something out on the porch, and they're the ones who could have possibly told the husband. Either way, it's still a mess. Okay, it wasn't justifiable for what they did. This person says it's beautiful and also not enough. I'd like us to stop being happy with these small BS gestures. They knew this woman lied for the past 30 years and no one did anything. I thought she was dead until 2021. How about a bill, some legislation? I don't know, some type of actual justice, even a wrongful death lawsuit for his family, anything. Okay, that's what Foxy had to say. Okay, this here, right here. Learning the incredible stories of how Harry Belafonte impacted so many lives in the aftermath of his passing is a gift. Knowing the lesser known facts of Mr. Belafonte's life truly deepens my appreciation of this trailblazer, sending prayers to his family. And the New York Times had a story about what Harry Belafonte did for Martin Luther King Jr. So go and check it out, guys. Let me see here. Someone said, because the youth knows more about Jerry Springer's death more than the death of Mr. Belafonte, record moguls should constantly speak his name first to go platinum. Well, all right then. Here's another story. Reposts. It says in this week's episode of Not a Drag Queen, a Toledo area Catholic priest facing multiple charges of sex trafficking. So a Catholic priest, they should let these Catholic priests have wives, faces multiple charges of sex trafficking, goes on trial Monday. According to the FBI in 2015, I guess that's Father Michael allegedly manipulated and coerced drug-addicted boys and men into sex. My. What does this say?
Hey, it's going good. This is Dad. My phone wasn't working. Look at here, man. You want to come to work with me next week? I wouldn't mind that.
watch here, and just went with what he knows in terms he's going to be a great football player.
Oh yeah,
there's his dad on the left. That's awesome. Look how emotional he is.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine?
So, this is a Dallas Cowboy. The draft was this weekend, so Dallas Cowboys scout Chris Vaughn announced to his son Deuce that he would be drafted to the Cowboys. This is certainly a dream come true for the duo. Congratulations. That's right. Look at that. How about them Cowboys? Okay, now this says sensitive content. A Barstow, California Police Department officer was captured on camera beating an unarmed black man with a baton, even striking him multiple times while he lay on the ground. The police department claims a full investigation will be underway concerning the incident. We need answers. Well, I'm not going to play that because it's probably very graphic. AP course in African American Studies brings Black history to life for these Tulsa students. All right, Tulsa. Okay, we got about 15 more minutes. Attorney Crump says, what does he say here? Hold on, guys. American history cannot be told without Black history. Our children should know about the contributions, heroism, and horrors that make up Black history. Every school should follow Tulsa's lead and offer AP African American Studies. Parents, this person says, parents could also teach their children at home. That's right. Homeschooling is becoming very popular. All right, Attorney Crump says, it was an absolute honor to attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Okay, Ben. FAMU grad Roy Wood Jr. absolutely blew it out of the park as the host. Truth matters. Journalism matters. We all need to support a free press. That's right. You got to have the truth. The truth is the truth. The truth shall set you free. It shall set you free, honey. When it's not blinded. What does this say? Powerful. This is okay. This is the uncomfortable, unfortunate, and heartbreaking reality we are all living in. We need to do better and protest and protect our children. I cannot see. So it just says racism explained in 30 seconds. I don't know that maybe, but if you see when it first started, you had the little black girl standing there and everyone just walked by her. But then see the little black girl, nobody's stopping. They're just walking by. Everybody's just walking on by. Nobody's saying anything to her like, oh, are you lost, little girl? Where's your mommy? Where's your daddy? Now, so they switch it out. This is just, this is a test. And look at everybody stopping by. They're so concerned. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's just human nature. That's just it's the history of America. Okay, I'm sorry. It just is. My. Well, she just stood there. I'm going to like that. Okay, let's move on. It says this is not even a choir harmonizing. It's strangers, black people.
Hey. What we saying one time? Yeah. Hey.
They were just singing happy birthday, harmonizing for a stranger. Happy birthday, Jacob Blake. We are thankful Jacob Blake is alive and able to celebrate another year of life after a Kenosha, Wyoming police officer unjustly shot him in the back 7 times in 2020, resulting in partial paralysis. Let's take a moment to wish Jacob a happy 32nd birthday and support him in his recovery. And they said, happy birthday. Yes, Kenosha, Wisconsin, I believe that was. I remember I reported on it, I think. Why has this Georgia man been behind bars for 10 years awaiting trial? A core what does that say? A core tenet of this country is the right to a speedy trial. Okay, let me stop right there for a minute. Let me interject something. That's right, a speedy trial. And we will not forget justice for Kalitha. Maxwell deserves a speedy trial. We need a trial date set for Maxwell Williamson. Okay, Miss Jackie Foley's daughter, Kalitha Foley. We need a court date set. I emailed them there. I said, what is a reasonable amount of time? No one ever replied. When you're speaking facts and you're on the right trail, people will start to ignore you. But Ben Crump just said it, and he is the social justice attorney. He is the people's attorney, the people's mayor. He's all that. All right, let's get back to it over here. Okay. He says a core tenet of this country is the right to a speedy trial and access to an attorney. Maurice Jimerson has spent 10 years in jail and still has not been to trial. Black men are often the victims of Georgia broken justice system. Justice delayed is justice denied. Now, this is in Georgia, and so is Max. But Max not in jail. He out, like Miss Jackie say, having dinner with his family, able to go places with his family, spending holidays with his family, and her daughter is resting in peace. She's resting in peace, but we need justice. We need justice. We need answers. We need him to be put on trial. Come on now, this young man over here has been in jail for 10 years, people. Oh my, how can you be in jail for 10 years and not get a trial? Oh my goodness. They say, I have so many questions. How is this legal? Who the F let him stay in there for so long without a trial? Where is the public defender lawyer for all these years? Does he have family? Can he sue the system for this betrayal of justice? Ben Crump is on it. I hope and pray. Again, how is this even possible when we have the right to a speedy trial? This is a gross miscarriage of justice. Please, God, help him. Yes, I agree with everything she says. Can y'all believe this? This man has been in jail 10 years. I wonder if it's in Duluth County. I wonder what part of Georgia he in is what I want to know. I'm going to do some more research on this. I'm going to look this up. What is his name? Maurice Jimerson. I'm going to find out what he did and why he's in there. And I will follow up with you guys on this story. You know I will research, honey. I don't just use other folks' stuff. I'm going to research.
Mississippi just enacted a law that creates a separate unelected court system in parts of Jackson, the state's capital that is over 80% Black, judges and prosecutors elected by state officials who are entirely white instead of elected by residents. Civil rights groups have already filed 2 lawsuits against the law, one in federal court and one in state court. Federal lawsuit argues that the law intentionally discriminates against Jackson's majority Black population in violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. The state lawsuit alleges that the law violates the Mississippi Constitution. Mississippi just enacted a law that creates
So, House Bill 1020 is a slap in the face to the residents of Jackson, Mississippi. This undemocratic bill allows a majority white state legislature to appoint judges and prosecutors in a majority Black city's court system because Jackson is mainly, it's mainly Black, where they could vote in their judges. But now they've passed this HB bill or whatever, 1020, where the white legislature can appoint the judges, taking the power away from the community. It says the people of Jackson have voices and Governor Tate Reeves is silencing them. My. It says there is absolutely nothing united about the United States of America. Each state has separate laws governed by however many different people, and your presidents can't seem to or doesn't want to do anything about it because they just let them continue doing it every time. I'm gonna have to agree with that. But this is about Jackson, Mississippi. We got folks up in Jackson. We got ISB in Jackson, and then we got Nicole's Perspective. I'm not sure which part of Mississippi, but she's there as well. And I'm sure there's others. I heard that Storm Monroe, a friend of this channel, is also from Mississippi originally. Lawmakers push for action on maternal health bills. It says North Carolina state Democrats are fighting for the health and well-being of Black mothers. Maternal mortality rates in North Carolina have doubled from 2019 to 2021. This is a crisis affecting Black families, and it must be addressed by lawmakers. Let's urge North Carolina officials to pass the Mom's Bill Act. Okay, that's what we need to do. Black mothers, let's advocate. How much more time we have? Are we almost to an hour? 4 minutes? Okay. Philly teen earns full ride scholarship to Morehouse after going viral for his reaction to admission. Amir Stanton's viral video when he found out he was accepted to Morehouse College encouraged a huge audience of other teens. Now the blessings keep coming because Amir found out he's been awarded a full ride scholarship. The pursuit of education is a beautiful thing. Congrats, Amir. That's right. Congrats. I wish the video was in there so I could play it, but it isn't. This letter from State Attorney Monique Worrell to Governor Ron DeSantis is the spiciest thing you'll see on the internet. Oh. It says the scathing letter from State Attorney Monique Worrell to Governor DeSantis is a must read. And it's in the bio, and I don't have it here. So you guys go and look it up. Okay, look it up. This is the most unhealthy and unproductive trait of Democrats. Republicans are stripping away voting rights, reproductive rights, and civil liberties on the state level daily. That's why I tell you guys, it's so important that you vote in local state elections and just don't wait for the president's race and all of that stuff. Okay, you got to vote local. It starts at home. All politics is local. Remember that. Okay, it matters who's your Secretary of State, who's your Attorney General. All that matters because when things are close in races, those people have powers. Okay, they says, but we're doing the Cabbage Patch over Tucker Carlson's firing and over folks writing letters. We got to wake up. We fell for the okie doke. Republicans convince us to participate in a culture war while they pass legislation to turn us back to 1964. We got to get active. You know, sometimes you got to fight for something. You got to fight for something that really matters. You got to fight for something that really matters. If we would put all that energy into voting rights and things like that, of the things I see people putting energy into on YouTube, oh, what kind of power would we have? We got some powerful people here on YouTube. Okay, we're almost done. Maybe one or two more stories. This man's conviction was overturned after 2 years in prison, but the city said he didn't deserve a dime. That's where Attorney Crump comes in. A jury found New York City liable for fabricating evidence leading to the wrongful 2-year incarceration of Jawan Frazier. Instead of owning up to the wrongdoing, New York City fought tooth and nail unsuccessfully to justify the arrest for years to escape monetary responsibility. Why doesn't NYC work to clean up its police department rather than justify egregious misconduct after the fact? This cycle of wrongdoing will only continue without reform. Well, I hope, Jory said horrible, I hope he's going to sue. Now, they know they was wrong and don't want to give him nothing. Come on, people. When you know you're wrong, know you're wrong.
Well, look with pride on the name Fort Gregg Adams, and that the name will instill pride in every soldier entering our mighty gates.
That was retired Lieutenant General Arthur J. Gregg. He is now the only living person in modern Army history to have an installation named after him. He's one of 2 Black Army officers honored today at a ceremony renaming Fort Lee to Fort Gregg Adams. We have a look at the lives and careers of Lieutenant General Gregg and Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams by the numbers. Lieutenant General Arthur J. Gregg's 36-year military logistics career began back in 1946. A trained medical lab technician, he was told that there weren't any hospital jobs for black soldiers and assigned to a truck company in West Germany. He rose to staff sergeant when he was just 18. When he was 22, he completed officer candidate school. In 1966, he commanded one of the largest battalions in Vietnam, earning the Meritorious Unit Citation. He continued to rise through the Army and in 1977 earned his third star, becoming the first African American to reach lieutenant general in the U.S. Army. When he retired in 1981, he was the Army's highest ranking minority. Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams joined the Army back in 1942. She became the first black officer in the Women's Auxiliary Corps and led the first predominantly black WAC unit to serve overseas. Under her leadership, the 6888 Central Post Directory Battalion processed 17 million pieces of mostly backlog mail for U.S. military personnel in Europe. When her unit was deployed to England, the Army expected the job to take 6 months. Adams' unit had it done in 3 months, often working in hangars without heat or air conditioning. They went on to do the same work in France. At the end of the war, when she was 27 years old, Adams was promoted to become the highest-ranking black woman in the Army. Fort Gregg Adams is one of 9 Army installations being renamed to remove names and symbols that commemorate the Confederacy or those who supported it.
So, U.S. Army Post Fort Lee, so they're renaming these bases because they were formerly named after, the Confederate officers. And that's not representing all of us in the United States. So U.S. Army Post Fort Lee has been renamed in honor of Lieutenant General Arthur Gregg and Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams, the first 3-star Black Army officer and the leader of the 688th Central Postal Directory Battalion. This Army installation rightly cements these trailblazers' contributions in history. And they said, that's so awesome. Very special moment for those who gave up so much. This is a good thing. It says Fort Hood is now officially Fort Cavos. Black and brown service members finally receiving recognition for their roles in service to this country that all too often fails them is something everyone should celebrate. Absolutely, absolutely. We've reached an hour. I hope you guys have enjoyed this hour of learning and teaching. Okay, Social Justice News Hour. That's what we do over here on this channel. Like I say, sometimes small classrooms are the best classrooms because you can learn so much more. There's not so much chaos, but we will continue to grow. Trust me. Thank y'all for joining.